breakthrough is that we recognized that that the crisis of the veterans, the fact that many veterans use marijuana, and that we have expertise in PTSD, we decided we would start a study with marijuana for PTSD. And we've also been engaged in a 12-year lawsuit that ended last year trying to break the government monopoly. We wanted to get our own marijuana production facility at UMass Amherst with Professor Lau Craker.
Okay.
So I realized that the National Institute on Drug Abuse, their farm is way behind the times. So in 1998 or so is when GW Pharmaceuticals started in England. And they were aware that CBD has powerful therapeutic effects, not just THC. And so Sativex...
CBD is the synthetic version of...
No. CBD is cannabidiol.
Okay.
It's one of the main natural cannabinoids in marijuana.
Okay.
But it's mostly been bred out because it doesn't get you high.
Okay.
It has anti-pain properties, anti-anxiety properties, anti-epilepsy properties, but it doesn't get you high. And so that's why most growers have bred out the CBD and just produced higher and higher THC.
Okay.
GW Pharmaceuticals recognized that CBD has medical value, and that's what they focused their product on over 15 years ago.
Okay.
Right. So the National Institute on Drug Abuse, though, they're not really trying to develop marijuana into a medicine. They're trying to develop, grow marijuana to give to researchers who will show what's bad with marijuana to sustain prohibition.
Okay. So you're going to import some of this for your study?
Well, eventually. Okay. We can't quite yet import it. So
I just want to explain to people that are listening, like, what's the bottom line? How are you going to proceed with the study?
Well, we've been able to overcome the resistance. Over 3.5 years ago, the FDA approved our protocol. And then the Public Health Service rejected it. And they looked at it from a basic science review perspective. They rejected the protocol.
Okay.
Then we went to the University of Arizona at Phoenix, their ethics committee, where we're going to do the study. And we said, here's all the reasons the Public Health Service rejected our protocol. And here's our responses, why we think they're wrong, and every single thing that they said, and why the FDA said, yes, we can do the study. And then the Public Health, the Institutional Review Board, approved the protocol as we designed it and rejected what the Public Health Service said.
Okay.
So then we resubmitted it to the Public Health Service. Now, meanwhile, 3 years ago, NIDA claimed that they could provide the marijuana we need for the study, because we're going to look at what does CBD do to help with PTSD, as well as what marijuana with THC does. So we were told in writing by NIDA that they had the marijuana that they could provide for the study. And a year ago, that's why we lost the lawsuit after 12 years to set up our own farm, because NIDA and the DEA told the judge, we've got all the marijuana these people need, we don't need another supplier.
Okay.
And the judge rejected our appeal.
Okay.
All right. So what the big breakthrough that happened in March was that we finally obtained permission from the Public Health Service to do this study in veterans. Because, again, we had FDA approval. We had the Institutional Review Board had rejected the Public Health Service critiques and approved it. We had the veterans on our side, and we had 21 medical marijuana states and 2 states for legalization. So how could they justify blocking research? It just became so untenable. So what happened was March 16th, we got the word, yes, the study is approved.
Okay.
And that was New York Times. That was broadcast everywhere. That was our major breakthrough.
Congratulations.
But
there's always a but.
What we just found out last Friday, NIDA has admitted that they don't have the marijuana we need.
Okay.
So they said we had the marijuana we need when the lawsuit was going on,
right,
to help us lose the lawsuit.
Okay.
Now they claim that they don't have the marijuana with CBD,
okay,
but that they can grow it. And then 2 Fridays ago, the DEA filed notice with the International Narcotic Control Board, which monitors international drug control treaties, that the quota for how much marijuana was going to be grown in the United States in 2014 would be increased over 30 times.
Okay.
Now NIDA is committed to growing massive amounts of marijuana for researchers with all different amounts of CBD and whatever we need. They say they can provide it. But they still want to keep the monopoly because that will still block us from doing these phase 3 studies.
Okay, so they're not going to let you use your marijuana source in Amherst, but they are going to grow you the marijuana with the CBD in it. You have to wait for them to do that.
Another 6 months or so.
Okay.
So and the law that was passed in 1970, the Controlled Substances Act, that provided for the licensing of producers for Schedule I drugs, says that there has to be a continuous and uninterrupted supply.
Okay.
So now we have an interrupted supply of over 6 months. All right, so we're willing to do this. So in 6 months, we have to raise $950,000 to do this study. It's a 2 to 3 year study.
Right.
It will show, I believe, that it works, that marijuana helps reduce the symptoms. It helps people who have PTSD not have nightmares. It helps them focus more on the here and now than on the past, and it gives a little antidepressant mood for most people. Some people, as we all know, get nervous from marijuana.
Right.
And they get panic. So there will be some people that marijuana will not work for.
Right, okay.
And they will drop out of the study. So what we're willing to do, because we're in the phase 2 study, is start with the night of marijuana. But in 2-3 years from now, when that study is done, we don't want to use night of marijuana for the phase 3 study. Right. So that's where importation comes in.
Okay.
So that there's the government of Canada has now licensed numerous large-scale for-profit medical marijuana producers. I just toured a facility that cost $10 million just for the production facility north of Vancouver that can produce marijuana for 5,000 patients. And the company that's doing that is going to start another $10 million facility. And there's all of these now spreading through Canada.
Okay.
The Ministry of Health in Israel has licensed multiple for-profit producers. The Czech Republic is moving towards medical marijuana.
So this is what you're going to use for phase 3?
Phase 3,
you think?
We're going to import, yes.
Okay.
But what has to happen is that these producers have to grow medical-grade marijuana that's called GMP, Good Manufacturing Practices, that has to be accepted by FDA as medical grade for use in clinical trials. And so far, nobody has done that.
Okay.
And the GW Pharmaceuticals have refused to sell us their marijuana because they don't want their marijuana product, which is the extract under the tongue, to have to compete with smoked marijuana. So GW Pharmaceuticals has taken the view that smoked marijuana is bad and marijuana legalization is bad.
Right, okay.
Because it's not so good for their products. Now, the producers in Israel and Canada, soon to be the Czech Republic, Uruguay has just legalized marijuana. They're talking about getting into production as well.
Okay.
They see their big market as not just patients, but for legalization.
Right, okay.
All right, so they want to open up a door with the U.S. market. And so one of these Canadian companies has offered to pay for a research facility at UMass Amherst if we can get a license.
So this is massively complicated. It's still not over yet. I think we just got a little bit of a peek into what it's like to be Rick Doblin. Jesus Christ, it's not simple, is it? There are very, very complicated things going on here as far as policy, science, statistics, everything.
Fundraising. Yeah, if it was simple, I would be doing something else.
Jesus.